So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Beng Keat. I am actually a Malaysian, right? But I work and reside in Singapore. My day job is as a deputy director at the School of Infocomm at a local polytechnic in Singapore called Republic Polytechnic. I say it's a day job, it's actually also a night job. I started the user group, as was introduced just now, in Singapore in the year 2009. And then we started PyCon APAC in 2010, as you all know. Okay, so the next 5 slides basically is a little bit of a history lesson. Okay, this is the part where it might bore some of you. Okay, so actually how it all started was basically the fact that at the place of my work, we obviously teach our students programming. And at that time, they were using some other programming language, which I can't remember now, but the students were obviously struggling with programming, right? They found it difficult and all that. So we just started with a simple journey of trying to look for a language that we thought would be easier for them to learn, had an easier English-like syntax, and that was where Python came into the picture. Okay? Now, the crazy thing about it was that we didn't just stop at just saying, okay, yeah, we can use Python for our teaching. We started having some questions like, hey, who are the Python users in Singapore? You know, we really don't know who were the Python users in Singapore, and we thought, hey, if we can connect with some of these users, it'd be good, it'd be cool. And on top of just thinking about getting in touch with the users, also how do we get in touch with them? So hence the idea of should we run some kind of a conference? Or maybe it started with a user group at the beginning, right? But we get a bit more ambitious. How about running a conference in Singapore? So those were some of the ideas at that time, right? A Python community in Singapore, a Python conference. But remember, at this stage, I didn't know who was out there, right? And how do you reach out to anyone who's out there? And I think a lot of communities in the different countries in the region at that early stages also had that challenge, right? Who was out there, who was using Python, and so on. So the next slide I'm going to show you I apologize if you're sitting right at the back, you can't quite see this, but this is like a little poster that I created at that time. This was in the year 2008, right? 9th of October 2008. I just put out this poster, and in one of the agenda items in this poster, apart from just introducing who we were, we wanted to invite volunteers to run a conference in Singapore at that time, and as far as this poster was concerned, I just basically looked at my inbox and my contact list, and I just mailed anyone and everyone I had in my list, right? That's all I could do. Okay, so from that. We had our first meeting of Python users on the 9th of October, and this is a picture of those that came. There were 40 plus attendees that came that day, and I was pleasantly surprised. Now, it wouldn't be surprised you as well that quite a number of the attendees were from where I worked. Okay, quite a number of them were from there, including one student on the left-hand side that looked as though he didn't want to be there. He looked as though he wanted to go to sleep, all right? So that was the first Python user group meeting. That was in October, right? Now, along the way, all right, this is the 14th of February 2009. I've attached here the minutes of meeting. What's interesting about this minutes of meeting as I went through them, probably this is the first time I've seen this minutes of meeting. I probably didn't read it at that time. First of all, it was on the 14th of February 2009. And as you know, 14th February is, what day is that? That's Valentine's Day, right? Now, out of the 5 guys, there are 5 names there, they're all guys, right? And as I remember, the 4 of them were not attached, and I was the only one. So I'm not sure how my wife let me go that day. I'm not doing anything that evening. So we met, and one of the items, item number 7 in the minutes, said the following, right? That the committee would discuss, and the committee at that time, I put it in quotes, because we were not a legal entity. We were just 5 different individuals, just meeting together. And we said that, we call ourselves the committee, right? And we said that we need to build up a regional mailing list of Python enthusiasts, right? And we listed down there a whole lot of different countries, right? Well, Singapore is obviously was ourselves, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand. Those of you who are sitting right in front, you can see Philippines. I'm not sure why there isn't a name beside Philippines. Okay, it could just be because we didn't know anyone who knew anyone in Philippines that we could get in touch with. Then there was Vietnam, South Asia. At that time, we were saying India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan. Again, there was no name for someone besides Japan. I'm not sure why. Now, the other interesting bit was Korea. And I'm not sure why North Korea is there. Okay? I know South Korea is there, but I'm not sure why someone put North Korea. I wasn't sure if you could actually get into North Korea. And I don't think anyone knows what's happening in North Korea as far as Python is concerned. Okay? Australia and New Zealand and so on. So we had designs on wanting to reach out to the different countries already at that time, okay? But and at that time, the only reason why we were thinking was this, because in Singapore, it is such a small country and people call Singapore their little red dot, right? If we were going to hold a conference, it wouldn't be very much from just holding a normal user group meeting, right? For the 40 of us, okay? So we said at that time, we needed to reach out. I said at that time, we needed to reach out to the other countries, right? So to make our size a little bit bigger. That was the primary reason at that point. Okay, so that was February. Now, in March, I was sent, okay, at the time where I worked, I was sent to get some experience, right? So I went to PyCon in Chicago, 2009. This would have been the 7th conference in the US. It was a long flight. Whilst the map shows 19 hours, 30 minutes with a direct flight, it wasn't a direct flight, as you know. I have to stop by Tokyo before going to Chicago. And I was a terrible traveler. I still am, had a tough time settling to the time difference. But I can't compare that with what our second keynote has gone through, right? Your second keynote, I just spoke to him a moment ago. He said he had to take, I think, 5 different flights in excess of 24 hours to get here. So, you guys should really, thank him for the effort that he's making. Jacob, thank you very much for... Okay, so I went to Chicago. The whole reason was just to meet a few people, and one of the persons I met and had made contact with was Steve Holden, who was then the chairman of the PSF, a very, very hospitable man, right? He welcomed me, he invited me for a PSF meeting. I wasn't sure why. He invited me for dinner, and so it was a platform where I got to attend the tutorials, went for the lightning talks, the open space discussions, and identified, met a lot of people. And at that time, I also met Guido, right? He was presenting at that conference. And actually, the idea I had then was actually to invite him for the first PyCon APAC that we were going to hold, or at least the idea of a PyCon APAC that we wanted to hold. But I think he was probably at the stage where he wasn't really traveling or didn't want to travel as much anymore. So he didn't accept the invitation. But we got the next person, Steve Holden, who was then the president of the PSF, as I mentioned. He accepted our invitation, and for which we were very grateful. So that's a little picture of myself and him. We were in the PSF meeting room where there was a PSF meeting. Okay, right? So that was Chicago. Then I got back to Singapore, right? All charged up, Let's say we want to run this conference. But like I told, we were 5 guys, right? We call ourselves a committee, but we were not a legal entity at that time. So we needed to form ourselves into a legal entity, because when it comes to like getting sponsorships, right? No one's going to give you monies into your own individual account, right? So you got to form a legal entity. So the Python user group was formed and registered as a non-profit on the 9th of June, 2009. Okay. Now, forming the legal entity was the easiest thing for us to do, right? The next thing with running any conference, as you know, to run a conference like this, you need a little bit of cash, right? You need a bit of cash, and we had none, right? So there's no way you're going to run a conference and go in the red. So unbecoming, the picture that you see on the right, okay, these are the people that I don't think any of them knew that they were helping the PyCon APAC conference, because I ran this 3-day Django training, and as a result of that Django training, we got something like 8,000 plus Sing dollars as revenue from that conference, and that was enough for us to start thinking about running the conference. Okay, so that was very helpful, right? But yeah, so you need volunteers, right? You need money. You need to form a legal entity, right? And then we had to reach out to the different communities. So it was, and how did I do that? Is basically co-contacting. In the Philippines at that time, there was a guy called J.M. Maranan. I don't know if it's still in the community, but he was the first person that I think I contacted as well at that time. I think his name is mentioned in your Philippines website. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's the short or long history to how we actually started in Singapore, you know, and since then, all right, we have gone to 10 different countries, all right. In Singapore in 2010, in 2011. After 2011, we said we wanted to go to a different country. That was a part of the idea as well, that it was not supposed to be in Singapore. Now, I should also mention, part of the reason why PyCon APAC was organized was this. Whilst we started, we were just thinking like we needed to get more people to the conference, right? Because Singapore alone wasn't enough. But after Chicago, I realized that one of the other reasons why we needed to have a conference closer to home was simply because it was very expensive. Okay, just the flight, the accommodation to the US at that time would have been very prohibitive, right? So we wanted to have something nearer. Now, okay, we were not very successful in the earlier years, right? Because Singapore, as you know, is not it's not the cheapest place in the world, okay? And neither were some of the other countries that we went to in the earlier years. So that's still a challenge that we face, okay? So after 2011, we wanted to go somewhere else. And actually, Malaysia said that they would do it, right? But 6 months short of when they wanted to do it, they say, oh, we can't. Okay? So quite last minute. So we did it again in 2012, 3 years there. 2013, we went to Tokyo, Japan. All right? Just by show of hands, how many friends from Japan are here? 1, 2, a couple, right? Fantastic. In 2014, we went to Taiwan, Taipei. We were there as well in 2015, all right? I must say that in out of all these different countries, 5 of them were first time I visited these countries for the first time because of PyCon, including the Philippines today, right? Japan, and en route back from Chicago was first time. Taipei, my first time. And Korea and Seoul, my first time, all because of PyCon. So Korea, 2016 in Seoul. 2017, right, in Kuala Lumpur. 2018, back to Singapore. Don't ask me the reasons. 2019, we are here. Fantastic. All right, so the next couple of slides I have are just pictures, right? Just you sit back, just see a couple of pictures of different PyCons that we've had. This is in Singapore. On the left-hand side, you see the poster that we created. At that time, we had a couple of keynotes. Steve, obviously, like I mentioned, Mark Hammond, Wesley Chun, right? You see at the bottom, right, some friends from Japan, and they were very supportive, and all throughout, our friends from Japan has been very supportive. They will come for the conferences, okay? This is the second year. Jacob, you'll see a picture of yourself. You were standing beside a student, and at the time we ran this coding competition, right? We ran a Python coding competition, which I think subsequently went to the US as well, okay? This was us in 2012. At that time, one of the keynotes was Alex Matelli, right? And then 2018. So that's in Singapore. This is in Japan. The group has obviously grown a little bit bigger. I can't remember what it was now, probably about 500 plus. I was standing right somewhere in the middle of the right-hand side. So this was in Japan in 2003. I loved it. I'm not sure how many of you have been to Tokyo or Japan. I think anyone who's been to Japan will obviously... I've not met anyone who said that they didn't like going to Japan, right? In Taiwan, this was the group that was in Taiwan. I think the keynote then was Jessica, right? Then you have Yonggun. I think he's here today, seated somewhere there. He's right at the back, right? There was a picture with him with Wes McKinney. I think Wes McKinney has attended a couple of the PyCon APAC conferences or the PyCon conferences here in the Asia Pacific, so we are very thankful for that. And this was in 2015. In 2015, the picture that you see is Van Limburg. He was here. He was then the chair of PSF. He came by in 2015. And this is in Korea. Korea, the group is got even bigger. I think there was about 1,000, and I understand now it's up to 1,800 people for the PyCon conferences. So that's huge, 1,800. How many do we have here today? I'm not sure. 4? 5? Right, great. So PyCon Korea now is like, 3.5 times as large. Okay. So this was us. Every APAC conference, there's a little time that we spend to just meet up among ourselves, as well those organizers from different parts of the region. All right, finally, this was in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. That's where I'm from. Jessica was also one of the keynotes there, right? And there's a picture of the group. And yeah. So these are some of the keynote speakers that we had, right? We are very thankful for all of them. Because the PyCon APAC platform was, at that time we thought it would have been a bigger platform to be able to invite some of these speakers, right? So it's proved to be the case, right? So Dr. Prabhu, someone from India, as some of you who are in the scientific community will know. Jacob, obviously, 3 years. I think 1 year, 2016, was in Korea, but I think it was it remote? Yeah, I think it was remote. Yeah. There was 2013, right? So keynotes in 2013. In 2014, I think the Taiwan group went big. There were 5 different keynotes, right? 2015 again. And then I think in between 2016, who do we have 2016, right? Jacob was 2016, and then we had a few other keynotes. I couldn't include all of them, right? So these are some of the keynotes that we've had over the years, right? Okay, so I'm going to move on and talk a bit about what's happening in the region, okay? Now, in this particular segment, I've got some prizes to give away, okay? In fact, 4 different prizes to give away. And it's a very simple thing, right? I'm going to show you the outline of some of the countries in this region, okay? Now, you're not going to get the easy ones, huh? There are some countries, if you just look at the outline, you know which country this is, okay? But I've chosen 4 of them, right? So the first person, if you can raise your hand, tell me which country they are from, and you can come and claim your prize, okay? Okay, so let's start. Okay, no prizes for the first one. This would be. This country would be. No, sorry. Did someone say China? Gotta be kidding. Which country would this be? Australia? Any history lessons in this particular college? No, not Australia. Malaysia? No, this is not Malaysia. Singapore. Big clue. I work in Singapore. This is Singapore. Wow. You guys have surprised me. I thought that was a giveaway. Okay, this is Singapore. Okay, give me a second here. I need to just calm down. I'm nearly shocked. I'm nearly shocked. Okay, so this is Singapore. Now, if you see the names on the top left, these are some of the names of individuals that I've been in touch with, right? Now, the information here, may not be 100% correct in terms of the currency or the currency, okay? But there are names that you can find in Google Group under the PyCon APAC organizers. So if you happen to be in any of these countries, and if you just want to pop into some of their meetups, these are some of the people to contact, or you go to on Meetup, you'll find out more details. All right. So PyCon. So in Singapore, we organized PyCon since 2010. In fact, the first PyCon in Singapore was also PyCon APAC, and we had it every single year except 2017. I'm not sure why 2017 it was missing. The Python user group meets up every month, right? There are about 30 to 50 regular attendees. And they have a Facebook group that is like 3,500 people, and they have a meetup at meetup.com, so 4,000 plus. And there's also a PyData Singapore group as well. They meet up quite often, about 50 to 80 people meeting up there. And we used to have difficulty finding conference venue or meetup venues, but not these days, right? Simply because of what's happening with AI, with what's happening with data science. Now, a lot of companies are very happy to open up their venues. And not just opening up venues, they give us food as well. So that's even better. All right. So the Python user group normally meets up at the Red Hat office. And the PyData group, I am told, meets up at the PayPal office. There's a huge PayPal office in Singapore. I think they employ close to about the last time I knew, they employ about 350 developers in Singapore. Okay. Not cheap. Okay, not cheap. Okay, next country. No prizes for this as well. But you better get this right. Which country is this? What? Okay, fantastic. Wow, Japan, everyone knows Japan. Singapore, nobody knows. Let's see. Okay, Japan. I think there are lots of people. Takanori-san, I didn't put his name there, but he's one of the key people there as well. The first person I met was Mr. Terada-san. In fact, in one of the earlier pictures, he was there. Okay. So in Japan, okay, I think they can correct me if I'm wrong. They started out with mini PyCons, right, where they were one-day events, right? I think they did that starting from 2011. Okay. Now since then, they've had this idea, and they sort of moved on to different parts of Japan now, in Hiroshima, Osaka, Sapporo, and you see the dates and when they're having all this. Okay, but that was the precursor to Japan's how they started with PyCon. So by the time, so PyCon APAC went to Tokyo in 2013. Okay, so it's held every year in the autumn, right? About 1,000 people in 2018, and this year, if you're going to go to Japan, you've got to plan a holiday in September, 14th to the 17th of September, right? And I think they are thinking of doing something jointly with Taiwan, if I'm not wrong, because the dates are quite close. That's what I heard, okay? But in Japan, I think you find it to be one of the more vibrant groups, okay? There's a PyCon Kyushu, right, as well, since 2018 at Fukuoka. They had about 200 people, right? And there's another PyCon Kyushu 2019, right, in the middle of May, and it's going to be in Okinawa. Okay, I think Okinawa, I think it's not there, right? Is it there? The island there? Okay, how many of you have heard of Okinawa before? Yes? Okay, if you're thinking of going there, in May, there's the conference there. Okay, I'm not sure if it's going to be any English. Okay, I'm sure there won't be any Tagalog, but I'm not sure if there's going to be English speakers. Okay, they also have what is called Python boot camps, right? They are Python beginner courses. They are held over Japan, right? About 30 times in 28 regions since 2016, I was told. There's a PyLadies Tokyo. So since 2014, they meet up every month in Tokyo. And this is new, right? I've not heard this before. There's a PyLadies Caravan. I think by the word caravan, I guess you can sort of imagine, right? The members go to any local city for a meetup event, okay? So I'm not sure it's going to be a Pi caravan kind of thing in the Philippines or not. Okay. And they have Django Congress as well since 2018. So the 2019 version, if you're thinking of going, that will be, I think, in mid-May, right, of this year. Okay? All right, that's Japan. Next one, got prize. Okay, ready? You ready? Tell me which country this is. Taiwan, yes, sir. For that, you get a t-shirt from PyCon APAC 2015 from Taiwan. How come this one you can get, you can't get Singapore? I still can't believe it. Okay, in Taiwan, I think one of the speakers today is the chair for PyCon Taiwan in 2019. He's here. His name is that. I'm not sure. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Tai Xiang Ho. But the first person I met was someone called Liew, right? So in PyCon Taiwan, they have at least 5 active citywide users in those places in Taipei, in Taichung, Hualien, Kaohsiung, and Hsinchu. Okay, they meet up, roughly, monthly to sometimes even weekly. Attendees range from like 10 to 50. So that's Taiwan, and Taiwan is organizing, like I said, the next PyCon is coming up on from 20th to 22nd of September 2019. All right. So I think they are trying to do something with our Japanese counterparts, correct? So if you're gonna, you can have 2 countries in one, right? Just go to Japan, and after that fly to Taiwan, and then you can attend both conferences. So the attendees roughly around 600 to 800 in Taiwan. Okay. All right. Next country. Do I have a prize for next country? I think I have a prize for the next country as well. Okay. All right. Ready? Next one. You better don't get this, because you didn't get Singapore. All right. This one I already revealed. Oh. Okay. Free prize. First hand up. Who's? Huh? South Korea. Good. All right. Here's a prize. Here's a t-shirt from South Korea's PyCon APAC in 2016. Okay, the only disclaimer to that the t-shirt is it's an XL, so I hope that fits. Okay, if you are okay, so I may be biased in choosing who gets the thing. So okay, this is in Korea. Sorry, the two giveaways was because I just got the information later on. I forgot to hide this. So I said in Korea, Yonggun Kim is here. He's one of the folks in Korea. So PyCon in Korea was organized in 2014. Since then, the numbers have grown, and he just told me now it's about 1,800 plus people. Huge, and they meet in Seoul in a place called COEX. I think it's the first, one of the first conferences that is holding it in a convention center. Otherwise, if most of the other PyCon conferences, we've held it in institutions of higher learning. Right, that's why, like even where you have it here, right? We had to do it then because that was sort of like the cheapest place where we could get a venue at very low cost or for free. I'm not sure you're getting it for free here, but when we started in Singapore, we got that for free. So I think there are lots of different things happening there. They have groups on machine learning, on data science, and so on. So you can check them out if you happen to be in Seoul. Again, I think no Tagalog. I'm not sure got English. I'm sure got Korean. Okay, so if you're in Korea, yeah, so you should check that out. Okay, next country, no prize. You gotta get this one. This would be Malaysia. Yes, Malaysia. Okay, just for those of you who are not so familiar, it is Malaysia, right? Malaysia, there are 2 parts. One on the west. One on the east side, the states of Sabah and Sarawak, and Sabah is, I think, closer to the Philippines, right? So, but most of the things happening in Malaysia is on the west side of the peninsula. Okay, The context that we were in touch with then was a person called Swimming, and Iqbal. Actually, Iqbal is an odd one. He's a Malaysian, but he resides in Japan. Okay, so to organize a conference at that time from Japan was a tough one. But PyCon started in Malaysia, similarly in similar ways like Japan, because he was from Japan. They had the idea of mini PyCons in Japan. So that's what Iqbal did when he was in Malaysia, right? They started with this mini PyCon idea as well in 2014. Then they had one 2015, 2016. And by 2017, they hosted their first PyCon APAC. Okay? All right? Now, outside of that, I am told there are not as much happening in Malaysia, unfortunately. Right? Whilst I'm Malaysian myself, but I'm told there's not as much happening. Okay, I may be wrong. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's Malaysia. Okay, next country. No prizes for this as well. You should know this one. This would be India. Correct. Now, India was obviously earlier into the game, right? They had their first PyCon in 2009. That was just 1 year before PyCon APAC started. Well, the context really depends on where you're going, right? But the first person I met was someone called Nufal Ibrahim. He was now who he would be considered one of the pioneers in India. So the first PyCon was organized in Bangalore, right, by the Bangalore user group. There were about 350 people. How many of you have been to India before? Huh? Nobody? One. Not because you're Indian, right? No. You've been to India. 2.5 years because of work. It has to be work, right? You're going to be traveling for 2.5 years. Okay. So, if you've not been to India, I'm not sure how many people I found India particularly fascinating. It was a fascinating country. I was only in Bangalore and Mysore. Best Indian curry to get, right? Butter chicken, right? And there's a spinach with Indian cheese. Fantastic. So, last year, PyCon in India celebrated its 10th year, right, in Hyderabad. Okay, I've not been there myself. And there are 9 major Python user groups in India today, okay? From as far south as Kerala to up north to the capital in Delhi. And then they have in Gujarat, Mumbai, Pune, Chennai, and so on, right? So quite happening in India, all right? Okay, next country. This one you also should know, right? Because it's like a little bit, okay, not the shape is not like the Philippines, but it's got certain characteristics. This country would be Indonesia. Oh man, you got every country except Singapore. And still can't believe this. This is Indonesia, all right? So what's happening in Indonesia? More recently, okay, the person was a person called Rizky, okay? And PyCon Indonesia ran for first time in 2017 in Surabaya. Okay, right. Actually, the PyCon, the group in Indonesia was very keen to have held PyCon APAC in Indonesia, and together with Philippines, we were the 2 countries who submitted to bid for it. And in fact, I think he was trying to charm us by saying, where do you want PyCon to be held? Bali? Then shall we go Bali? Okay, you all know where Bali is, right? Okay. So that's 2017. Then 2018, they had it in Jakarta, all right, November 3rd to 4th. It was just quite recently. There were about 450 people attending there, all right? As far as meetups are concerned, primarily in Jakarta, Surabaya, Yogyakarta, all right? You get about 30 to 50 people meeting up on a monthly basis, okay? So that's Indonesia. Okay, next one. I think next one, no prize as well. This one you should get, I think. This one is... Which country this one? Seriously? I tell you, once I tell you which country that is, you're gonna like, what? I should have known that. No one? Seriously? This would be Hong Kong. All right? Why it doesn't look like a dim sum, is it? I don't know. This is Hong Kong, right? So the person I've been in touch with was someone called Sammy Fung, right? He was the president of open source in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong has been organizing PyCon conferences since 2015. It's the fourth time last year, and as you can see from the team, you know, the AI team has really picked up more recently, you know. About 200 plus people for Hong Kong in general, right? They meet in the Hong Kong Island, I think in a place called Cyberport. I've not been there myself. The local Python community, I think they don't meet up as often. I was told that they have 3 meetups every year, about 30 plus people meet up. So not the most vibrant. I think they meet up around the Wan Chai area. So that's Hong Kong. Okay. Next country. This one you must know. Or you shouldn't know. Okay, which country is this? Huh? Thailand. Yes, this is Thailand. Okay. Right. Well, you see what you get in a Python conference, a history lesson as well as a tech conference, right? So this is Thailand. Okay. So now the first, I've not met Dylan. Okay, I don't know. Not sure if he's here, but Dylan. Now you might probably be wondering, why isn't there a Thai name there? Okay, there are probably Thai individuals there, but I'm not too familiar with it. I've not been to the Thai conference, but I was told that there's a guy called Dylan J. He is the organizer of the Sydney Python user group for 6 years, but now lives in Bangkok. That's a picture of him, if you can see, beside Iqbal. Iqbal is quite active. He travels around to the different PyCons. And they held their first conference last year, 16 to 17 of June. And I think, again, Wes, he likes this part of the world, so he was one of the keynotes there. And yeah, okay. Now, just a side story. I'm not sure anyone from Thailand today. You know? Okay, you see that logo on the left-hand side, right? It says PY something in Thai, right? Right? My first cold contacting in the early years, trying to find out, hey, who in Thailand, you know, where's the community, landed me in this particular discussion forum, and I didn't get anything about Python. All I got was that they were trying to offer massage services, actually. So that was an interesting one. Okay. All right, I think they meet up once a month, okay? All right, next. I have 15 more minutes. I need to get through this geography lesson quickly. This country would be... Come on, this country would be... Shout out, I can't hear you. China, yes. You got to know, right? China. Okay, China, the group in China are pretty happy where they are, okay? We don't get really in touch with too many of them. They're quite happy with where they are. I think because the language is one of the things. They are with Mandarin. But the first person I met, and he came to the first PyCon in Singapore at that time, was a person called Su Chi, or calls himself by an acronym Zoom.quiet. Okay. So in China, they had their first conference in 2011, right? In fact, I'm not sure why, but he stole one of my conference banners, okay, to take back to China that year. I'm not sure why. So since then, they've been having their conferences. They have this Chinese Python user group, probably the oldest Python community in China. They meet out different parts of China: Beijing, Xi'an, Wuhan, Shanghai, or Guangzhou, or the Pearl River Delta user group, right? So that's pretty much China. So if you are Mandarin speaking, you can always visit them at those conferences there. Okay, next country, price. Okay, this one's a tough one, I think. Which one would this be? What? You get Bangladesh and you can't get Singapore? You gotta be... There you go. I don't have a bang. Who said Bangladesh just now? You? You from Bangladesh? Oh! That's the only reason why he got it. He's from... Oh. Okay, I don't have a Bangladesh t-shirt. I think what I gave you was the 2013 version in Japan. Okay? And it just happened to be in green as well, which is like part of your national flag. Okay, sorry, you haven't seen what the national flag looks like. So I was in touch with a person called Tamim, and he was sharing with me that the first PyCon in in Bangladesh was in Dhaka, 2014. Second one in 2016. Most of the tech activities, I'm told, happens in Dhaka itself. Okay. There's a slight angle with the education part, right? I think very closely tied to all of the Python conferences that we've had in the region has been tied a lot to education, right? Like I said, even it was the same with Singapore as well. Okay, so they have a user group, 6+ members registered, and yeah, they have informal meetups in Dhaka and somewhere called Khulna, I was told. Okay, next country. Okay, this one, our Bangladesh friend from Bangladesh cannot answer. Okay, anyone else from this country, you shouldn't answer. Okay, this one, last prize. Okay, which country would this be? What? You're not Pakistani, are you? All right. Best prize, original T-shirt from the first, 10 years ago. Okay, but you think you should wash it, lah? 10 years ago. So this is Pakistan. I've not been to Pakistan myself. It seems to be led by a group of people folks from a company called Ubisoft. That's what I was told. I may be wrong. But they had their first PyCon 2017. And they had about 500 attendees. That was in Lahore. And they're calling for proposals now. Okay? So if you're thinking of swinging by around Pakistan, you can submit a proposal. Okay? So that's it, Pakistan. This one, no prizes for this one. Okay? This is the Philippines. You know, I just got some information from Matt. I met Michaela as well. I haven't seen her this morning yet. Okay, now I was told it started back in 2017, small group. Now, you see that logo there? Is that something that you're familiar with? Any of you seen that logo before? I'm not sure why is that. That's a logo that I got. It's called the Pinoy Python User Group. Okay? I'm not sure why is there a resemblance to... Is that a resemblance to a bit like a Mickey Mouse kind of thing? Am I the only one who's catching that Mickey Mouse theme? Okay, so that was the logo that I had. I don't think whether you use this logo anymore. Okay, so you held your first PyCon in 2012. You had about 250 participants. 214, you attracted participants from the Visayas, Mindanao areas, right? And then and they were inspired, right? So they formed their own groups, and then they had 2016 PyCon in Visayas, 2017 Mindanao, I was told, and then 2018 you held back in Manila with about 350 participants, and this year 500 participants for PyCon APAC, right? And you have PyLadies Manila, Django Girls as well. So that's what's happening in the Philippines. Okay, am I boring you all already? Oh, okay, I should end soon. So I've just got a few more slides. Now we still see a few countries that are missing there. I'm sure you will notice. But so we are trying to reach out to some of these countries as well. I think Vietnam was one of them. We had some initial contact, but things cooled down a little bit, so we're not so sure what's happening there now, or at least I'm not so sure what's happening there now, and so on. Okay, but PyCon APAC, it's been 10 years. Since then, as you can see from my earlier slides, many PyCon and Python communities have sprung up. Okay, and it was a good thing. Because what has happened is that you have now a local Python conference, local Python community that you can get in touch with, right? When maybe in the past, there wasn't such that community around. Now, I wouldn't say that PyCon APAC was the spark that got it going, okay? I wouldn't say that. But maybe in some cases, it did help a little bit, okay? It got people thinking about, how about me running a meetup? All right, how about me running a conference for, the folks in my country, right? So with that, it makes it more affordable, right? And especially when we can get good speakers, right? Key speakers, the movers and shakers in the Python world coming. So we've seen that happening, right? So, and we're very we're very thankful for that, for the folks that have come and keynoted the conferences, okay? But we can do better with local talent. Okay, as well at these conferences, I think. PyCon APAC, we do attract a wider and more diverse audience, an international audience. In some cases, let's say in Singapore, the numbers, because of PyCon APAC, it doubled. Right, last year, 2018, yeah, it doubled in numbers. As organizers, some of the challenges we'd had all throughout was different non-profit setups, right? In Malaysia once, when we wanted to start something up, not myself directly, but they were telling me to start a non-profit in Malaysia, you needed to put in 1 million Malaysian ringgit. I'm like, a bit shocked at the moment, right? How is it a non-profit and I got $1 million to spare? Something doesn't seem quite right, okay? All right. Taiwan, I understand also they had to use a proxy, right? They couldn't quite set up a group. So those were some of the challenges. Sponsorship drives, I think it improves when hosting, right? But there's still challenges, right? Affordability, I mentioned, right? Depends on the hosting country. I think Philippines is affordable, right? But yesterday I tried to look for some shoes for myself. I realized that the price of shoes is actually as expensive or sometimes even a little bit more expensive than Singapore. What's happening? I thought I can get cheaper stuff here, okay? Language is the one that remains a challenge, right? Because English is not the main spoken language. So when Japan held it in 2013, I was just, the folks that would actually come up when your medium of communication is normally not English, but to come up and present a technical talk in English, I think it takes a whole lot of courage. If you ask me to give a talk now in Tagalog, well, clearly, that's totally going to fail, so a commendable effort, right? But language remains a challenge, and I think part of the reason why folks don't travel in between the conferences around the region, because like in China, it's still in Mandarin, right? And so on and so forth. So, at one time we were considering whether we would do translation services. So that's something to be considered. Volunteers, obviously, a challenge, right? We volunteer, like Matt and his team. I think you all should, really at the end of the conference or any other time when you see him and his team of people, you should just go, say thanks, because they put in all the effort and they put in all the time, and I don't think they get paid for it. You don't get paid for it, right? Okay, because I didn't get paid for it, so you should go and thank them for it, right? It takes a whole lot of effort, and I think you should just put your hands together for them. All right, but as you know, we need more volunteers, right? We can't do this until we get too old, right? As it is, I should be retiring already many years ago, right? But we need volunteers to step up. So if you're keen to volunteer, get in touch with Matt, okay? So moving forward, I think there's still a lot of things that we can do, right? But we are a very loosely coupled group of people, right? We meet once a year. We always had good intentions every time when we meet, but by the time we go back to our respective countries, we get overwhelmed with our work. So sometimes we never get around to doing it. But a more organized or sort of a federated setup for ourselves would be good, and something that we will want to consider doing moving forward, how to better support our communities around the region. And PyCon Singapore is able to sponsor this year all because of the funds that we got from the first PyCon we organized in 2010. So that was one of the ideas as well. Whenever the funds that I got from at that first conference, right, I said that it would be funds that we can and to help other communities to get going with their conferences as well. Coordinating international sponsorship efforts, I think we can do better with that, and other activities that we can do better if we just share some of these things. So those are the things. So practical ways you can help. Like I said, go volunteer, right? I know most of you come to try to listen to a talk, get something out of it, but think about the other side of the coin as well. If you can volunteer in any way, right? Set up a group, volunteer in the committee, do that. And obviously, if you got a good talk, step up, present, conduct a tutorial, any way you can help, okay? So here's the schedule for next year, right? If you happen to be any of these countries, a lot of them I notice tend to be the latter half of the year. February this year, here in Philippines, Korea, I think in August, Malaysia in August, if that happens. Thailand in September to November, not exactly sure yet. Japan, September. Taiwan, September. The ones in red, I think, are confirmed dates. In Indonesia, I think they're looking at September, October 2019. China, September, October. SG, sometime in October. Bangladesh, November. Hong Kong, November. Indonesia, no, ID will be India. India will be November as well. Okay, so, okay, last slide. So if you want to get in touch with any of those folks who are organizing some of these conferences, they should come on board to this Google Group site. And I think that's my last slide. Well, thank you very much. I hope I didn't put any of you to sleep. Thank you.